Welcome everyone to my chat with Robin Waite. Robin is a business coach, the owner of Fearless Business. He is a speaker and a bestseller author of many books. Tell us how many books you got, Robin.
I'm kind of losing count. Five officially, but I have number six is it's a translation of Take Your Shot. So if there's anybody who can speak Spanish, they can buy a copy of VAT Threshold. And then I've also got a chapter in Pivot and Grow as well. So technically it's seven.
Yes. And did you read the Take Your Shot in Spanish yourself?
No, I can't speak a word of Spanish. I can say the title, I can say hello, but that's about it.
If anyone wants to get a copy of Take Your Shot and then get a copy on Audible, I highly recommend it because you read it yourself, don't you? And it's fantastic. I love the way you read it.
Yeah, and I put on voices for the various different characters in the story as well. So yeah, a bit cringy, but I think for the listener it's okay.
Yes, definitely. So you're here with me and my pet grooming business group. I've come into the pet grooming world as a business mentor, and it's not something that many people maybe have experienced or know anything about. So really happy that you're happy to come in and speak to us all about pricing and your ideas around pricing and products and mindset. So perhaps you can just give us a quick brief on your sort of business history and how you came into becoming a business mentor yourself.
Yeah, so I'll try and keep it sort of relatively brief because obviously we want to get into the guts of this and talk about pricing and things like that. But no, I set up my first official business in 2004, which was a marketing agency, predominantly doing web design and branding, but that was back in the days where marketing involved getting a website built and found on Google, getting some business cards printed, and then you chuck to BNI or something like that, and you could get clients. But there was also about a tenth of the number of businesses back then, and getting found was easy. As that business progressed, I reached a point whereby there was dozens of marketing platforms coming onto the scene every year. It became a very complex market, complex business. Very competitive and overly saturated because people were just sort of driving prices down in terms of websites and things like that. And also what I realized was a lot of service business providers were really being looked down on by their clients because of that. So everybody wanted everything cheap as chips and the moon on a stick. They wanted the best possible service for the least amount they could afford to pay. And it made me realize I went to a networking meeting one day and I got introduced to somebody as their web bitch. And I was like, it was like a dagger through the heart. When you've worked hard on a business for 10 years and put your heart and soul into it and, given everything to help grow your clients' businesses, and then you get introduced like that, I realized I wanted to change people's perceptions of service businesses, the service industry. So wrote Online Business Startup. That opened the door up to speaking opportunities and consulting, and most importantly coaching. So I had a few people who said, and this is around about 2015 2016, who were like, I saw what you did with your business and what you've done for my friend's business, could you do that for mine? And so Fearless Business started up at that point as a coaching practice, very much like one-to-one work at the time, so lot of heavy lifting, as you do when you start up any business. And then we've now taken the model and turned it into a group program, and it's flying. It's going really well.
So you help business coaches, and you're a mentor of mine within a different program, and you help business coaches with productization and money and mindset and pricing.
Yeah, it's primarily coaches, consultants, and freelancers, and most people in service client businesses fit into one of those three categories. But we've got to use niches and avatars, and you've got to give them a name. So that's kind of our bread and butter. But yeah, anybody who's charging time for money and wants to get out of that and start to kind of understand how best to kind of package it up. And when you get the productization process and the packaging process, it's remarkable, like the speed that you can make the changes and transformations within your business. We're talking about like the old fashioned way of marketing and getting more clients will take you months, if not years, to double your turnover. A few tweaks to how you package and price things, you can double your turnover in as little as 2 or 3 months.
Wow, this is going to be a fearless chat. I know it is. And this is why I wanted you to come on and speak to the dog grooming community, because there, as I explained earlier, there's There's a lot of imposter syndrome going on. There's a lot of comparing themselves to other dog groomers like down the road, and should we use their prices? Maybe a little bit of undercutting that they don't realise. And then there's a lot of fear around increasing those prices, and fear around the VAT issues and stuff like that. So what's your sort of take on the money mindset, and where do we get our money mindset and our beliefs from when it comes to pricing and money?
Yeah, I mean, the money mindset side of things, and I'm no psychologist. I'm just an avid enthusiast about sort of understanding why we make the decisions in business that we do end up making. And one which fascinated me, like, you know, and really what, you know, why it became so important in Fearless Business was pricing. Like, I'm having conversations about money. And one of the things I noticed, that the person buying it rarely wants to ask how much something is. The person selling it rarely wants to be asked how much something is. And we just end up with this really awkward like moment where everybody's kind of looking at each other thinking, oh God, do we have to have this conversation? And I was like, why can't we enjoy it? Why can't we embrace it? What's stopping people from doing that? And one of the things which really sort of stuck for me was around like that money blueprint. And that's installed in us between the ages of about 3 and 7. Okay. So I have a 7 and a 4-year-old, and they can both now count. Obviously, my 7-year-old can add up and do sort of basic calculations and sums, but they have no idea about what a fair value exchange looks like. So, you know, what comes across for my 3 and 7-year-old is daddy, 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 more, more, more. And it's, you know, they just pester you until they get what they want. Yeah. But actually, you know, most of us aren't born with a silver spoon in our mouths, don't have loads of money. We don't have trust funds. We don't have, you know, all have 6-figure jobs and incomes. And so 99% of the human population have been brought up as children hearing things like, oh, you know, you can't have those trainers. They're too expensive. We can't go on holiday this year because we don't have enough money. Money doesn't go on trees. Money is the root of all evil. We've had all this stuff like drummed into us. And it sticks at 3 and 7, or between the ages of 3 and 7. So when you then have a grown-up business, you know, and you're doing adulting type things where you then have to have serious conversations about money, you're relying on a blueprint which is fundamentally broken. And most people end up, you know, this is why you see 18 and 19-year-olds who are more successful, because if they can unlock that money blueprint 18 or 19, you know, as young bucks, compared to the likes of you or me, Bill, who are both sort of, you know, mid to late 30s, aren't we? You know, yeah. We've got a lot more years on us of work to undo. So that's essentially why most people just have a poor relationship with money.
And so that's why we undervalue ourselves, don't we? We're like, well, I'm just not worth that. I'm just not worth the extra money that I want, and that's where I suppose the imposter syndrome kicks in, but also that where we've grown up with our money beliefs, and that I'm just not worth that. Or something I hear quite a lot is, I just don't want to. I feel like I'm ripping my customers off, and that again is your own mindset, isn't it? Your own beliefs.
Yeah, but it's the fear is around not being accepted. Like, we hate it when we're rejected. So if we give somebody our price and they say that's too expensive, we take it personally. So we have an emotional attachment to the outcome. If you think about it, this is, you know, Robin or Bill with their poor money mindset. Hopefully it's better now and improving, but poor money mindset over here. And this is your business. If you're emotionally attached to the outcomes in your business and you have a wobble around money, naturally it has a knock-on impact on your business. So what we've got to do is we've got to try and find creative ways to disconnect emotionally from the outcome, detach like as much as best you can. So you can be all wobbly as, you know, over here with your money mindset, but your business ultimately needs you to make money. It needs to be profitable. And we need to not allow our own poor money mindset to influence the decisions which need to be made over here. And sometimes they're difficult decisions. So one of the biggest mistakes I see business owners make, especially in the pet industry, and as you know, you know, we've done a lot of work together on Shift to Success, but I'm also a mentor on a program called the Pet Professional Network. And so I'm well aware of a lot of the major challenges that pet professionals have. And the most common one, which comes around time and time again, is they compare themselves to the competition. So if, you know, Mary's looking at Dave's prices, and Dave's looking at Stephen, and Stephen's looking at Trisha, and Trisha's looking back at Mary, which one of those 4 pet professionals is actually an expert in pricing? The reality is probably none of them. And they're just like, if Trisha gets it wrong, by the time it's got to Mary and everybody's undercut each other, it's like this race to the bottom. Nobody's stood back. Like the mistake isn't necessarily looking at the competition. The mistake is assuming that the competition are right.
Yeah.
Okay. What you need to do, the right way to look at it is, well, we'll go and look at the competition anyway, but we'll run their numbers and see economically, does this work for our business? If we charge what Steve's charging down the road, do his numbers mean that at the bottom of our profit and loss account, we make 30% net profit? Or are we going to end up with a slight loss or barely scraping by because Steve's massively undercharging? And especially where, Steve might, work on, out of the local common land. So he doesn't have any overheads or expenses or anything like that. Trisha, on the other hand, has been doing this a few years. She's got a grooming parlor set up. She's got a secure field where maybe her associates, or she does some dog training or, behavior work behind the scenes. So she's got big overheads and expenses. They can't charge the same amount. Trisha needs to charge a lot more economically for her business to work. So you've got to focus on, look at the competition by all means, but don't assume that what they're doing is right. Look at your business and how much you're charging.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to, you don't know whether Steve's being propped up by a wealthy parent, or whether he's just about to go bust or bankrupt because he's not charging correctly. So you've got to use your own figures, haven't you, to sort out your own prices and look at your own sort of turnover and what you need.
100%.
Right. Going back to that mindset. So the dog grooming world is predominantly sole trader. And I wonder whether there's something in this around, when you're a sole trader, it's kind of your money, isn't it? It's your money. But when you're a limited company, that's your business's money. So when you're saying about that flex and that joint, is that the buffer? Is that going limited? Obviously, there's cost implications of that. But going limited, does that open up that buffer for you so that when you're a sole trader, it's kind of personal, whereas limited is a business? Would you see?
Look at yeah, you've got to. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on there, but you've got to look at how does it make you feel? I don't know about you, but when it took us a while to go limited in my agency, but the moment we went limited, I felt more professional.
Yeah.
When we added VAT onto our bills, I was like, yeah, we've made it, because now we're making enough money to pay VAT. Right. And it's a sign of success. It's not something that you need to be afraid of. When you have a formal registered company address and you have to have serious conversations with accountants, it's a sign that it's a good sign. And it makes me feel more professional to be limited, and again, I'm not suggesting there's anything wrong with being a sole trader, for sure. But I just think there's something about it, looking more professional, you feel more professional. There's a stake in the ground, and cost-wise, there's no real extra cost implications. Perhaps, you have to pay a little bit more to your accountant. Yes, you have corporation tax to pay, but you have to pay tax as a sole trader anyway. Yeah. And actually, the government have done enough now to close the gap between the two. It used to be a massive benefit to be a limited company. Now there's no real benefit compared to being a sole trader, if I'm really honest. But then when you kind of get into the realms of then charging VAT, for example, again, like most business owners, if we turn around and said, hey, Steve, like you're doing 20K now, but how about tomorrow you're doing 85K? Steve would be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'd take that. Right? You'd take it, wouldn't you? I think most people watching this would be like, yeah, 85K, I'd take that.
They're really scared of it. People are generally scared and put off by their mates down the pub that going VAT will break your business.
No, because I mean, what you're talking about here, so even if you just passed VAT across on your invoices to your clients, and your prices go up by 20%, that is no great disaster. Most business owners have a very loyal base of clients, and to put it into perspective, you're certainly not going to lose 20% of your clients. And I've had clients double, treble, quadruple, even 10x their prices, and they might lose single figure percentages of clients, even at the 10x mark. So the reality is your most loyal clients will stay through a 20% price increase. Okay, so that's the first thing to remember. The ones that leave generally are the biggest pain in the ass. They're the ones who want the moon on a stick, don't get your value, probably phone you out 10 times a week, and a real just nuisance. And in the agency, when we 5x our prices, our support calls immediately dropped by 80%. So we lost 40% of our clients, but our support calls dropped by 80%. That told us that the clients who wanted everything and were taking the most out of us didn't value us. So it's a good thing when you put your prices up. The reality is as well, most businesses have some kind of cost or outgoing. So you don't actually have to, yes, you've got to add 20% VAT onto your invoices, but you don't have to pass the entire 20% increase across to your clients. So it might be you only have to do it, say, your invoices might only go up by 10% and you absorb the other 10% because you're paying money out on bills which you're paying VAT on, right? A simple calculation is just add the VAT on and see what happens. And I can pretty much guarantee most clients will be like celebrating with you. You've hit VAT threshold and you've got a great business.
That's it. And you need to celebrate it with your clients rather than be all sort of, oh no, what have I done? You know, and people are being led by their businesses. So they're being sort of driven by their business through the VAT threshold without realizing it, rather than controlling it and driving their business through.
Yeah, there are some things that you can do as well. So if you're sold, and I'm not a tax accountant, by the way, but so I'm giving you some advice, but it's always worthwhile checking with your accountant. If you're a sole trader and you hit VAT threshold, okay, and then you incorporate, it actually gives you another 6 months buffer before, because your VAT effectively resets when you incorporate. Right. And most people don't know this. It's not a loophole. It's just part of the process. So actually you can buy yourself 6 months if you hit that threshold and you incorporate. If you've still got the ability to do that, do it. If you're already incorporated, like I said, it's just a sign of success. So adopt it and have fun with it.
And embrace it and celebrate it.
Yeah.
So if you're you're just starting your business, we've advised you not to look at the groomer down the road to find out what their prices are. How would you go about starting up with your pricing? Where do you start with your benchmark with your pricing, and how do you work that out? Because that's a massive question within the industry, and no one quite knows where to start with their pricing.
Yeah, so this is where you're going to have to help me out, Bill, because I don't know the all of the ins and outs of kind of the dog grooming industry necessarily. But what you've got to kind of start to think about is something called customer lifetime value. Okay, so as a very simple this is very rough, but as a calculation to work from. So for argument's sake, let's keep the math simple. If you wanted to get to £100,000 a year turnover revenue in your business, and you know that the average client spends, say, £1,000 with you over the course of 12 months, and I know that's probably maybe a lot in dog grooming industry, and maybe
a bit too high, yeah.
But let's just keep the math simple for now. Then you know that you need to find 100 clients who are willing to spend £1,000 a year with you. Okay. Yeah. So, imagine if we did have the Platinum Plus, all singing, all dancing, grooming a program which was designed for, I don't know, poodles seem like quite high maintenance and they need to come in and have a quarterly groom. Well, it might be that, £1,000 a year, especially if they're a Crufts, have Crufts potential, that's actually a small price to pay for some people. So now we're starting to get into the realms of asking questions like, well, who could afford to pay £1,000 a year for our services? Who do we get the best results for? Who can afford to pay £1,000 a year? Who do we enjoy working with the most? Okay, so there probably are dog groomers in certain parts of Chelsea and Kensington who could charge £1,000 a client a year. But what we do is we create a package for them. So rather than it being ad hoc and you just show up and pay per groom and it's going to take an hour, so we'll charge 50 quid for that. What we do is we say, well, actually your poodle's high maintenance. You want to enter it into Crufts next year and we've got to keep on top of this. So how about we do it this way? It's normally, £300 for a poodle groom in our Platinum Plus program or Platinum Plus, grooming package. If you do 4 grooms a year with us, we'll set up a direct debit for £100 a month. How does that sound? So what we're doing is we're not compromising necessarily on our price, still the same price, but what we're doing is we're making it more affordable for somebody to pay that money and easier for them to pay that money. Yeah. If we end up kind of basically just selling on a groom by groom basis, we end up on something called the sales cycle of doom. We're constantly having to spin up the marketing machine, sell, deliver, sell, deliver, sell, deliver, sell, deliver. Bill gets ill. You know, Bill can't work, Bill goes away on holiday, Bill can't sell, Bill can't deliver, therefore Bill doesn't get paid. And this is the trap that we end up in. And then we come back from holiday, we get better, whatever, big deep breath, and off we go again. But for me, like, going around in circles isn't the definition of success. So what we want to do is, if we can get to a point whereby, and the reason why we end up in that trap is normally because we're not charging enough. So we're constantly having to market and sell because we need to make more money, because we don't have a buffer in the bank to give us the breathing room to take the foot off the gas to deliver a better quality product to our clients. Okay. So this is the point where we have to, like, we start to pull on lots of different levers, but the simplest one is, if we do charge more, we end up with more time to deliver a better quality product or service to our client, which gives loyalty, because now they're like, God, it was expensive, but that was the best poodle green we've ever had, which gives us, you know, more money on the back end, and the cycle kind of like expands out. And when we end up with a business which has 100 raving fans within it, all of a sudden, you know, your world kind of opens up. It's simple. We can have far fewer clients. We make more money. We can afford to take on staff. We can do an even better job. We can have better quality premises and better quality grooming tools and products, you know, hair products for our poodles and things like that, you know.
I think from mine and Emma's business, A to Z, you know, we got to that sell cycle of doom where we were getting busier and busier and busier. And to sort out that busyness, we then hired staff. So then we start getting busier and busier and busier, and we've got more staff, and we carry on getting busier, but we're watching our profit now starting to shrink because we're now having to pay our staff more. But our prices were static and they weren't doing anything. So I think this is where a lot of groomers out there are finding at the moment, is their books are either completely full and they've got no space to put new customers in, or they just swamped with work, and now they're thinking, oh, I need to hire more. I need to hire more people. But that's not the answer, is it?
Putting your prices up solves both of those problems. So if you increase your prices, yeah, you're going to get fewer clients. But actually, that is like, every business has this massive inherent amount of failure built into it. And this is the part of human psychology which people just don't like. They don't get it. Okay. So for every 70 conversations that we start around, you know, somebody who might be showing an interest in our business, and I'm not talking about actual buying questions here at this point, a buying conversation. I'm talking about people who like our page, follow our posts, they engage with us, they comment on our pictures, and they share our content and things like that. For every 70 people who are doing that, we'll probably book in 10 serious buyers into consultations. Okay. And then out of those 10, a good conversion rate is probably somewhere between 1 in 5 and 1 in 3. Okay. So somewhere between 20% and 33.3%. Let's round it up to 40% just for argument's sake, keep the numbers simple. Yeah. Okay. So if you're closing more than 1 in 3, your prices are probably too cheap.
Yeah. I had a conversation yesterday with someone that was, I said, if you had 10 customers phone you today and asked to book in and you give them the price, what do they do? And she said they all book.
Yeah. Too cheap. We actually want to be, so if you go 70, 10, 2, okay, so for every 2 yeses, we're getting 68 no's. So, you know, there's this massive inherent amount of failure built into business naturally through the sales cycle. So if you can get used to that, again, detach from the outcome and accept that no is a normal thing to happen in a business. It's okay for clients to leave. Let's focus on making the money. You can control both your profitability and capacity by increasing your prices. So with that person, if they doubled their prices, I bet they'd probably still close 60% of their business. I bet if they trebled their prices, they'd probably start to creep into that 1 in 5 to 1 in 3 sweet spot. So they could have a third of the clients and be making profitability wise the same, but I reckon probably significantly more money.
That's it. And I exactly the conversation was, you know, I'm so busy, they're all booking in, I want to take on more staff. And you're like, well, then that's that cycle, isn't it? And if you take on more staff, you'll just lose more money and still be just as busy. So
I got into, it's a different business here, but it was I did some work with an accountancy practice that were, so they were turning over 2.14 million, but their net profit on that was about 100K. So really poorly leveraged, under 5% net profit, which is terrible for an accountancy firm. But they'd stagnated. They kept their prices the same for the best part of 6 years. So when I challenged the CEO of this business, they had it was a 50-person business. They had a board. I'm sat there in front of the board and I asked the question, when did you last put your price up? It was synchronized face palm between the CEO and the CFO 6 years ago. So I pushed them for a 20% price increase. So like quite hard. They went behind my back and only went for 10%. But the reality was we put the prices up by 10% with a zero attrition. So there are 2,500 clients, not one left. And I was like, well, that's proof in the pudding. You could have gone for 20% and we might have lost one or two. But so they went for 10%, but it cost them no extra to service that 10%. So if you take the extra 214K, which is what that 10% calculated to, it fell to the bottom line and trebled their profit. Now imagine what a business can do with 300K versus 100K in terms of growth. Yeah. Now you can afford to take on an extra 5 members of staff plus throw some money into some interesting marketing campaigns and various things like that. Now we go on another stage of growth.
And your pensions and all sorts, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. And the pressure's off, you know.
Yeah.
So pricing and naturally as well, like I said, pricing is going to reduce your conversion rate. So that takes care of capacity. Now you don't need all of those staff members you think you need because you've got the capacity. Like it starts to kind of make sense.
Yeah. And how do you tackle that price increase with your existing customers? Obviously, for new customers, I mean, I'm a big advocate for not displaying any of your prices. I'm sure that's your advice, isn't it? So put your prices out there so you can talk to people and you can be flexible with your prices. How do you go about talking to your existing customers about your prices?
I was just saying, Wilbur's come to say hello. There he is. Like, he's like, Daddy, where are my treats? I'll get sorted out in a minute. So pricing for existing clients is what I call a PR exercise, essentially. Hang on, I'm just going to get him pop back on the
side. No worries.
Whoops. Lie down. Good boy. Good boy. Stay. There we go. Got him well trained. That'll probably last about 5 seconds. So pricing with your existing clients is it's a PR exercise basically. So what I normally recommend people do is like you want to give people fair warning that your prices are going to be increasing. You want to tell them by how much they're going to be increasing. If you feel that you need to, you can also put some justification in there as well. So an email blast out to all of your clients, or you could do it next time they come into the shop, for example, the grooming parlor to have their next, cut and blow dry done or whatever the terms are. Yeah. You can kind of just say to them, hey, listen, just to let you know, as of 1st of June, our prices will be going up by 15%. We're giving you fair warning. The reason for this is obviously our overheads have increased, or we haven't put our prices up in 3 years, or inflation, or our cost for things. It's cost more now to import shampoo and into UK because of Brexit. Whatever the reasons are, so we give them fair warning, give them a date, give them the price increase. Wilbur, and go on, go and lie down on the bed.
Never work with children.
Got him well trained. And most clients will be happy with that. You'll get the odd grumble and things like that. And again, detached. This is just part of business. We need to put our prices up because think about it this way: no client wants you to go out of business if you're doing a good job for them, do they?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
So a client should be. Okay, it's annoying. It's going to cost a bit more money, but they should understand. They should be empathetic. Okay, because if you don't charge enough, that's the reality. If you're not making profit, eventually it's either going to become a hobby, a charity, a not-for-profit, or you're going to go out of business. Those are kind of your 4 options.
And get sick of it as well. And dog grooming is a very physical job. And there's many people I've been watching in the comments saying, I'm pretty much broken by this. I'm not earning any money.
Yeah, and business should be fun. It should be enjoyable. It shouldn't be something which is taxing on your body, on your mind, and things like that. It should be something you can wake up to every morning and be proud of it. And the thing is as well that again, this is a dog analogy, but Pavlov's dog also kicks in here. So if you want to understand the psychology of why people take on so many clients, it's not just about acceptance or being accepted or fear of rejection. It's actually about, we get a little bit of you get a kick out of this whenever you sign a new client, right?
Yeah.
You get a little ding goes off every time you sign a new client. So if you're cheap and you're signing up 9 out of 10 clients or 10 out of 10 clients, it's like ding, 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 ding.
Big rush.
And you like Pavlov's dog, you move towards that because you get a good feeling out of the yes. You don't think of the second and third order consequences of what that yes actually means. And that's where we look at the profit and loss and analyze how profitable that is. You have to train yourself that if you sell a client at twice the price of what you were selling at last month, that it's not ding, it's ding, right? So it's bigger, it's more rewarding. And I'm happier to wait longer for that bigger, better reward. And it's just about retraining, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just about retraining that acceptance.
Yeah, and getting used to it. And then, because I remember when speaking to like yourselves and that about putting your price up, that tight feeling of sickness in your stomach, going, I don't want to know, I really don't know how to do this, or I don't want to go out to our customers and do this. How do we do it? But the fear is so much worse than the doing, isn't it?
I can nearest damn it guarantee, Bill, everybody who's watching this wants to increase their prices.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to increase their prices. They just don't know how at the moment. Okay. So there's a very simple process that I wish I'd recorded this on my DSLR as well, because this would be great for the YouTube channel, but we can get it edited.
Yeah.
But there's a very simple process to go through. So first we have to accept that we've got to put our prices up. And I think everybody would agree, yeah, we could do with putting our prices up. Okay. So that's taken care of. That's the easy first step. The second step is let's start to see this as bandwidth. It's not just doubling your prices. Because if I said to everybody here, right, tomorrow double your prices, oh no, couldn't possibly do that. Nobody will ever pay that. So the panic and the fear starts to kick in. Okay. But there's bandwidth between what we're currently charging and doubling their price. There may be some people out there who are brave and just go for it and double their prices anyway and thinks, you know, sod it, I'm not enjoying it anyway, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I've had clients do that. Like I said, I've had clients just go out and 10x what they're charging. But what we've got to do is establish where we sit along that bandwidth, if that makes sense. So how we go about doing that. So give me an example of something which you're charging out at the moment, and you know you need to increase the price, Bill, but you're really unsure about how to do it.
I'll say something. So we offer teeth cleaning for clients. And the initial appointment is £40, initial consult and initial clean, which is probably about an hour's worth of consultation with half an hour of brushing the teeth. If a dog went to the vets to have this done, they'd have to have an anaesthetic, and it would probably cost around £300 for that to be done. So you come to dog groomers and we charge about £40 for a teeth clean, and then follow-up appointments around £25.
Okay, so if you package the two together, that'd be £65. So the bandwidth is 65 to 300. And Bill, you've agreed that you need to put the price up with it. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start at 65. I'm going to gradually increment the price. And when you feel that gut reaction, you know, let me know. All right, so 65. So let's go 75, 90, 120.
Go straight in at 90.
Straight in it, but 90 is more than 65. So what we do is we go out and the next 10 clients. So this is that step two is what is Wills. I'm doing an important thing here. Leave my bin alone.
Throw him with a teeth clean.
He needs it. He does need it. Bed. Good boy. Good. So step one, yeah, we agree we've got to put our price up. Step two, we've now hit that point of, right, it's £90. Had that gut reaction. That's, you know, starting to go outside our comfort zone, outside our level of confidence. So step three is very simple. Next 10 people who come in and want a teeth clean, we pitch it to those 10 people. We just commit to it. We pitch 10 people at £90, and then we analyze how many said yes. I can guarantee, Bill, your conversion rate will be nigh on the same as what it was at 65 quid.
Wow.
Okay.
And then you just keep going.
Yep. And probably the first person who comes in and pays 90, you go, oh my gosh, Robin, I can't believe how easy that was. They said, yes, this is ridiculous. I've already put my price up to 120.
Yeah.
And then it's normally about a 4 to 6 week cycle, each price increment. So, and you go through exactly the same process, right? We've closed 4 people at 90, feeling confident we can sell this. We're doing great service here, etc. Right? Gut reaction, 120. Right? Next 10 people will pitch 120, and that cycle we iterate every 4 to 6 weeks. And you probably find there are going to be economical sort of drivers where in certain counties, towns where people aren't willing to pay, ridiculous sums for it. But there will be people out there who could probably get close to the same fees as what a vet's charging, without all the hassle. And they'll come to you because you do a great groom, we'll do your teeth as well. And that's fine. That's where the loyalty is.
Tell us about the proposition, the talking to the customer about it, the giving value. Tell us all about the giving value, because that's something really important when you're explaining your prices, isn't it?
Yeah. So again, what you don't want to do is move into justification of your prices. So that when somebody challenges you on your pricing, again, if we're attached to it, it's going to be personal. So this is where you have to kind of say, it's not personal. It's not me they're judging, on my prices. They just have a question about, is this good value for money, basically. So what a lot of people do, though, is they immediately go straight into, like I said, feature selling. We use the best products. We do this and this and this and this. And it's just like, that's only good to a certain point, but it's like the difference for most people between, I don't know, using Sensodyne and Colgate. Like, it actually means very little to us as a consumer. A better way to go around doing it would be, well, yes, yeah. First of all, you would agree with them. Yeah, £90. Possibly it's expensive, maybe compared to some of our competitors.
This is
what no but literally
right.
let it land. So Bill, right. let's do a bit of role play. Imagine I've just said that to you. Yeah, probably is a bit expensive compared to our competitors.
I see. I might have to go and find out what they charge then.
Well, you can see what they charge because it's on their website.
Right.
But just to let you know, they got a couple of 1-star reviews last week.
Wow. What was that for? Do you know?
Poor quality of service, and one of the dogs, their tooth fell out.
Really? So if I go ahead with you, what does that £90 give me?
Well, we obviously have a professional service. You can see all of our 5-star reviews now. You told me you were referred by Jane. She said we did a great job with her lab. So, you should have confidence in our service. But I tell you what I'll do for you. We have 100% money back guarantee on our service. So if we do it and you're not satisfied with the outcome, i.e. our perceived value, Wilbur, what are you doing? Sorry about this, Bill. Go on, bed. I think it's because we normally come inside for lunch and he's stuck out here in the office with me. So, Wilbs, Wobby, have another one. It's my fault. So we offer that cast iron money back guarantee, and if at the end of it you're really not satisfied with the level of service you got, we'll just refund it, because it's just not good for our reputation to be giving poor quality service.
So we can do the service, and if I don't like it, I'll get my money back.
If you can prove that we've done a bad job, absolutely.
Brilliant. Okay. Sold.
Yeah. So people don't need to know about, all of the features. They don't need to know about like all of the you don't need to kind of rationalize it for them. You've just got to give them confidence in your ability to deliver a high quality service. And that is it. And more often than not, one of the reasons why I did the little role play with you, where I said, I just agreed with you. I said, yeah, they are cheaper.
We are more expensive. To go, doesn't it? You're like,
but you have to think like, well, why are they more expensive than their competitors? And more often than not, they will start telling you what is good about you and your service. And then when they go, oh, well, I'm going to go down the road anyway, you can kind of just say, cool, it's free choice. But just to let you know, they got the 1-star reviews, and
Yeah, we can offer you a better service and a better customer care, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jacqueline has just commented on here saying, I did a price increase at the beginning of the month, but I don't think I increased them enough, probably out of fear. Should I wait another year? Because a lot of people only increase their prices like once a year by like £1 or £2. or increase prices to new clients?
You go out and you validate it at a higher price point. It's as simple as that. So remember, it's a 4 to 6 week cycle. If your conversion rate is still too high, you've got, like, strip your prices off your website if they're up there, because that might be something you're worried about. But yeah, you can go straight into a price increase. The only challenge is if you do it too frequently, your kind of loyal clients will start to question it a little bit. So you're back into that kind of PR exercise. So what you may choose to do is you may choose to test and validate your prices on new clients alone. With existing clients, you might grandfather them into existing prices for 6 or 12 months, for example, and then hit them with a price increase once a year. But yeah, certainly for new clients, new coming through, I would be testing and validating at new price points all the time.
Yeah, I was going to say that. How do you catch up your old clients to your new prices? Because again, people ask, so we say like put your prices up, and they're like, yeah, but what do I do with the old ones? So that's okay to sort of grandfather rights them for a bit and then start catching.
Yeah, absolutely. But at some point you want to catch everybody up so they're paying similar sort of price points. Like I did 7 price increases last year on my program. And one of those happened literally. I did two sales. I shouldn't say stuff like this, but I don't think my clients are watching this. But I did 2 sales calls back to back, and I did one in price increase and straight away did a second price increase just because I thought I could. Like there's no science. There's no that pricing. Everybody gets so hung up on it, but there is no real science to this. It's about your confidence and your ability to deliver that level of value and make sure that the customer is going to be happy and well looked after.
Yeah, and your price point, your prices is very dependent on your business and what your business requires. That's why, again, going back to, you can't compare yourself to other pet groomers and what they charge, because they have completely different overheads to what you have.
That different overheads. But the second thing which people don't take into consideration as well, Bill, is intellectual property. So how long have you been in the industry for? What certifications have you invested in? Why are you better than your competition? Because all of those things do help to give you more confidence in your ability to deliver that better quality product. But if you think about it, like, and this is why when you shift from hourly rate charging, most people who charge by the hour haven't taken into consideration overheads and that intellectual property. When you factor those in, typically you should be charging 3 times what you charge per hour, because it's a third for my time, it's a third for my intellectual property and knowledge, and it's a third for my overheads, the cost that, you know, how much it costs me to run my business.
There's always some big price increases going on, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. That's the whole point.
So, like, maybe people come into the industry, they're new, or, you know, they're struggling to get a few clients, so they start looking at discounting. So, you know, 10% off if you've got another dog, or 25% off your first groom. That's certainly something that we did, 25% off your first visit, and then you refer a friend and you get 25%, they get 25% off as well. What's your views all around discounting your prices, and how can it be done?
Yeah, so discounts, I don't have too much of a problem with doing sort of volume-based discounting, but you need to limit the amount of a discount you're actually offering. So when you start to go above 5 or 10%, it can be quite, it can erode your profitability within the business, especially if you're doing it time and time and time again, because effectively you're just setting the bar lower with your pricing. So that's the first thing to remember. And typically a 5% discount means you've actually got to sell somewhere close to 16% more of the same product in order to make the same amount of profit. Most people assume that a 5% discount means it's just, you know, I've got to sell 5% more. Actually, by the time the money falls down through your profit and loss, you know, i.e. through your overheads, it compounds. So you've got to sell so much more. But volume-based discounts, yeah, if they're putting an extra, Wilbur, stop it. If they're putting an extra dog in for a groom, so, you know, don't do 2 for the price of 1, but certainly give them a 5 or 10% discount. Or what you could do is charge the same, but give them something of higher perceived value as a gift. So could you throw in an extra bottle or 2 of dog shampoo as a thank you for giving them 2 dogs that week? Does that make sense? So high perceived value, it's a nice to give, but you're not eroding your profitability or your revenue.
Yeah, so like something that we do is if someone rebooks within 6 weeks, we charge for our nail trims alongside a groom. We'll give them a free nail trim. So it's £3.95, but they like that sense that they're getting something for free. If that makes sense.
Yeah, and to them it costs you a couple of minutes or something like that to kind of go through and do it. So it's a minimal sort of cost. There's another side to this as well around why, you know, discounts and sort of how, you know, how erosive they could be. And you mentioned about sort of offering a 25% off your first groom, for example. Now that's something called an unrefusable offer. Okay, right. That's, or an attraction offer. That is designed to get people in for their first groom. Mm-hmm. So that is actually acceptable. That's okay, because there is a cost associated with marketing. And if that's absorbed in that 25% to get somebody through the door the first time, but that you then know that that client's going to come back 3, 4, 6 times a year for future grooms, you know that you're going to make up the 25% in future work, customer lifetime value. So that's actually acceptable as well. But you have to know, again, if at 25%, if it's costing you money to do it at 25% less, and that's going to mount up, and you're doing loads of free ones but not getting the follow-ons, there's a problem there. That's when you need to question whether that's a good decision or not.
You need to understand your marketing budget and how much you're spending on advertising when you're giving that sort of discount out.
Yeah, 100%.
Do we have time just to touch on the triangle of truth? I think we almost touched on it earlier, didn't we? It's not something I've put into my group before or spoken about, but you were saying about the triangle of truth and how you can't have cheap, good, and remind me what the last one was.
Cheap, good, and it's quality, cost, and time.
And this is sometimes why we get complaints from our customers, because they don't understand this. And Google it, it's the triangle of truth. They don't understand that you can't have all three, can you? Maybe you just lead us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so the idea being, if somebody wants something done cheap, then it's going to either take longer or the quality is going to be compromised. Okay, so second one, if somebody wants something done fast, then it's going to be more expensive, and again the quality could be compromised. And if somebody wants something done super well, generally speaking, it's either going to take a bit longer or it's going to cost them more. So, but there is no way that you can have something done cheap, fast, and to the best quality, the highest standard. There are a handful of examples in quite random businesses where you can potentially have all three. But let's be fair, we're focused on, I think with your clients, it's going to be the highest quality of service. And so that takes time and it costs money, and you shouldn't compromise on that. I don't think anybody woke up in the morning and said, you know what, we're going to take, our poodle Fido down to a dog groom. We want it done super fast and not done very well. They never woke up wanting that. So why would we deliver it?
No, that's it. And I think that goes to explain why sometimes you have those loggerheads with customers, because they just don't understand that. So it's always worth having in the back of your mind, or in the back office, that triangle of truth, saying you can't have all three at the same time.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's been, your dog's destroying your office, and it's been...
Did you hear that in the background?
Yeah.
Just ripping the box apart. Thankfully, it's not important, so it's okay.
It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, and I'm sure, people will watch this back and they'll get some real value from what you've told them, and hopefully I'll be reporting to you in a few months' time or a few weeks' time, the wins are going into the group where they put their prices up, and they're charging extra, and they're getting more money for what they're doing. Where can people find out, sort of read your books and find out more about you and your YouTube channel and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the best bet is to go and grab hold of a copy of Take Your Shot, which is obviously available on Amazon. It's actually, the paperback's pretty cheap on there at the moment, so I'm doing a bit of a deal just to get back up into #1 bestseller. So if people can support me and grab hold of a copy of the paperback, I'd hugely appreciate it. But that has some of the principles. It's only a short read. It'll only take about 90 minutes to 2 hours to read. It's only 100 pages long. But it's got the principles in there around that sort of packaging up, productizing process, talking about pricing and things like that. And it's told in the form of a story, so you can get quite immersed in it. But yeah, that would be a great starting point for anybody who wants to know more about how to increase their prices. And then, I've got my YouTube channel where we talk a lot about all of this sort of thing as well. But yeah, Google me, and if people have got questions, I'm in the group now as well. So just tag me into the post. I'll always happy to take questions around pricing, sales, and things like that.
Excellent. I do believe I'm up to about 5 reads of your Take Your Shot at the moment. I do enjoy reading it, and if I'm ever having maybe having a down day, or I need distracting from my head, I'll just go and read it. And you can read it in an afternoon. And again, it just brightens you up and motivates you again. So it's a fantastic book. And I have to thank you for writing it. It's been awesome.
That's a pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Robin, and thank you for helping me out with my technical issues as well.
No problem. Well, thank you for bearing with me whilst Will has been busy sort of distracting me behind the scenes.
That's right. We've all got dogs, so you'll all understand it.
I don't think there's any interview where you could possibly get away with that, is there, apart from a dog-related group? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thanks for your time, and I'll make sure that we put in some wins for you, so that you know that it's all people have taken note and listened and are implementing your advice. Thanks.
Awesome. My pleasure.
All right.